This is gokusondbz and welcome back to a new movie review. Now, this time, as promised, this is the movie review for Detective Pikachu. One of the first things I'll say about this film is I was surprised at actually how much I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's honestly done well. First thing I want to say about the Pokemon themselves in the movie is the fact I love the way the CG works for a lot of them, specifically Pokemon such as Pikachu. Designs like. I also really like the design of Charizard. Um, Also, Psyduck, I really like the design of. I like how the way they use the CGI to make it look like actual fur on the Pokemon. It's one of the big things that stands out to me specifically on a lot of the Pokemon designs. There were some Pokemon that kind of took me out, though I enjoyed the character for the overall. Still, overall, kind of creepy CG, I guess you could say, with Mr. Mime, but to be fair, to quote honest trailers or honest game trailers, hello, I'm a registered sex offender. Yeah, that's a good way to put Mr. Mime. He's creepy, to say the least, though he at the same time is funny. He's really creepy looking the way he's designed, but at the same time awesome. One of the most interesting things, and just so you know, I will put in the description box below that there will be spoilers in this review. So, if you haven't seen this movie after several months being out, then there's nothing I can do other than say don't watch this if you don't want spoilers. So, with that said, first of all, though, I want to quickly say, start of the film, the main character and a friend of his out in the countryside in a small town he's from, where, of course, he works and lives. His friend tries to get him to try to capture a Pokemon, specifically as an honest game trailer called Mommy Issues, aka Cubone. But I got a real kick out of that. I like the overall design, like the Pokeball effects and everything. I think it's pretty well executed for the most part. And that's one thing I will give to the. You can tell the people that were involved in the production and work on Detective Pikachu really actually care about the source material. You can definitely tell that looking at it. Speaking as someone who grew up with the original first several seasons of the Pokemon series, the first I watched through, I believe, season 5 of the series, which was Pokemon Master Quest. Was the last season I watched. I tried watching Pokemon Advance, couldn't get into the series. But, yeah. Still, overall speaking, you can definitely tell they took a lot of loyalty and stuff. Only specific amount of Pokemon overall were actually shown. That's good for, obviously, future movies, since the film did make over $400 million at the box office, make it one of the largest grossing game movies. I believe it's like the second largest grossing live action adaptation, second only to Warcraft, if I remember correctly. And honestly, the film is really good. It's not 100% loyal to the Detective Pikachu game on the 3DS. But that's for the best because I didn't care much for Danny DeVito doing the voice of Detective Pikachu in the game. I, on the other hand, really like Ryan Reynolds. To be fair, he feels more or less like he's Deadpool, but like PG Deadpool, if you will. But still, overall, goes really good. I really actually enjoyed Ryan Reynolds' work as Pikachu in the film. It's really awesome, and yeah, I can't get enough of just how much I love the design of Pikachu in the movie with the whole fur effect and everything done. Just looks literally like a living plush, if you will. More or less is what it looks like to me, but you also learn in this film, you learn a backstory about Rhyme City and about this older gentleman, which plays a huge key role into the plot of the film overall. Creating this supposed world or city, if you will, where Pokemon and humans live in, I guess you could say, co-harmony, if you will, where no one is specifically, supposedly, like normal Pokemon battles and stuff are outlawed there, except in like underground fighting cages and stuff, which kind of explains partially, of course, the Charizard scenes and stuff with the cage and everything. It goes along with that. Also, we of course learn the main character thinks that his father was killed, finding out which of course was a private detective, which you see at the beginning of the film, like about a car going over a bridge, collapsing obviously with Pikachu and the main character, his father. And that's because we see in the very beginning of the film, it starts out in a laboratory. And who should be in the laboratory test tube? Well, a certain Pokemon that busted out in the beginning of the first movie and brief appearance in, of course, towards the end of the first season of Pokemon series. Yep, Mewtwo, which of course makes brief appearance in obviously the trailer with the parade balloons. Now, with that said, yeah, but we find out later that Mewtwo plays a interesting role overall, though we find out the purpose in the film why Mewtwo was created. But anyways, the boy, of course, visits his dad's apartment after he gets with the detective, and visits obviously, and ends up coming, of course, face to face with Pikachu. Then we have a brief appearance by a bunch of newer Pokemon. I'll say newer because I haven't played a lot of the newest Pokemon games. I haven't really played much past like Generation 3. Though I did play Pokemon X, I just don't remember. Or actually, no, it was Pokemon Y, not X. But I don't really bother learning the names of the newer Pokemon. Mainly only remember names from the first 251. But with that said, anyways, Chase pursues, and of course later they realize he needs help, gets help from a certain female investigator that was following him. Obviously, they're setting up in the film for obviously a future possibly relationship between her and the main protagonist of the film. And that's a traditional element in most, of course, films, let's be honest, in movies, generally speaking. And she has a Pokemon partner, of course, and that being Psyduck, which listens to like soft, relaxing music and stuff to keep the headaches under control, as we know from the actual game and from the animated series with Misty and her Psyduck. As Psyduck's obviously headaches get worse, the more powerful psychic ability becomes. And this is definite evident, which of course plays a big major role in the storyline of the game. But with that said, I will say overall, I think the film is very well paced, very well executed, and very loyal to obviously the source material, especially on the Pokemon designs. I mean, I liked the designs of, honestly, Flareon. As I said already, some of the other Pokemon. I also liked the Bulbasaurs. I thought were pretty good, and I got a kick out of the Jigglypuff. But I think overall they did a pretty good job with, honestly, Mewtwo. Of course, anyways, they investigate a abandoned laboratory, which was the one that Mewtwo escaped from, obviously. Though, of course, another one of the group learns and realizes that they're actually still being watched, obviously. And we see who we think is going to be the main villain, which is like the guy who found and created the main city, of course, end up thinking the main villain is actually his son, and believe played a major role, possibly in the death of the main character, of course, his father. Now, of course, we learn that originally they thought that Mewtwo was the one responsible, but we learn what Mewtwo did because he couldn't at the time like save the body of the father, so he transferred the father's mind over to his Pikachu. And that's when we learn in this that Mewtwo has the ability somehow to transfer a human body and mind into the Pokemon body. So the Pokemon body remains, but ends up gaining the intelligence and the mind of the human that was mentally fused. So that's interesting. So obviously that explains, we learn it explains why Pikachu, or rather the main protagonist, why he is only, or rather I should say, Tim is obviously finds out and realizes it explains why he can understand Pikachu and is the only one that's able to understand him talking because it's his father who's stuck in his Pikachu's body. So a lot makes sense, honestly, overall. And as the thing progresses, though, we learn and find out, in fact, a guy we thought was a good guy with a mysterious henchwoman, of course, which we never really see the face of, or rather eyes of. We learn, of course, that in fact the son is not the main antagonist of the movie. It's in fact the father, the one who created Rhyme City. And of course he wants to basically stop more or less the death of humanity, if you will, and wants to fuse humans and Pokemon together. He uses a special device and transfers his mind into Mewtwo's body in order to use Mewtwo's special psychic powers in order to transfer human minds, but they have to use a special gas first. And that's what causes these Pokemon, like the Charizard and others, to go completely bonkers and crazy in the movie, is this weird gas that is created. It's to make the Pokemon lose, basically, their cool and stuff, to make it easier to transfer the human minds over to Pokemon bodies. That's the only way. You have to basically psychologically mess up their minds in order to be able to penetrate and use those psychic abilities. So, and we have this like big battle, obviously, with Mewtwo, or rather possessed Mewtwo, should say, but along with Pikachu. But it ends up a really fun blast of a time, and we see some of the humans end up going to the bodies of Pokemon. But in the end, of course, the bad guy is foiled like all traditional movies are in Hollywood. But it has a good ending, and the father ends up getting separated, of course, gets his body back in the end. And of course, it's Ryan Reynolds, obviously, being the dad. It is cool again to see him as human, along with his Pikachu, and along with Tim. But overall, honestly, I really enjoyed this film a lot more than I had originally expected. It was a different film than what I was expecting it to be overall. But for me, in the end, I give Detective Pikachu, on my grading system, I give Detective Pikachu unfortunately, I have a few issues here and there, so it's not going to get an A+, but it is going to get an A-. So a very well-reviewed film, easily one of my favorite films of the year. In fact, probably currently in my top 5 favorite movies of this year, which really surprises me. I've now seen this film 3 times. Every time I actually like it just a little bit more. So we'll see where it ends up placing by the end of the year in my top 10 favorite films of 2019. We will see. But that is my review for Detective Pikachu. It gets an A-. So leave a comment. What is your opinion overall of the Detective Pikachu Pokemon movie? Who was your favorite character in the film? And also, for that matter, what did you think about Ryan Reynolds doing the voice in Detective Pikachu? Did you also agree and feel it kind of felt like a family friendly version of Deadpool, more or less? At least with the jokes and wisecracks and everything? Oh, yeah, I just want to quickly say when Pikachu, while the dad is still in his body instead of walking on the bridge, at a moment he's like crying a little, but he's also singing the original Pokemon opening theme song of season 1. Yeah, that kind of hit me right in the nostalgia. I just wanted to put that out there before I cut this video, but anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoyed the music in the background from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. See you next time.